China, a superpower in the making. The country has been undergoing huge changes over the past 50 years, and today it is considered one of the largest economies in the world, surpassed only by the US. This fast-paced industrialization came with a price, which in this case is a massive gap between the urban and rural cities of the nation. At the same time, it has also meant a loss of traditional Chinese architecture on a large scale, as the buildings have been torn down to make space for the new modern skyscrapers. For this video, we have chosen to focus on the architectural aspect of the industrialization. We wanted to look into how these changes are perceived by the citizens of Shanghai and Hangzhou. What has these changes meant to them? Has a demolition of traditional buildings resulted in a loss of values? And if so, does this create a cultural gap between the rural and urban areas of China? We went to Fudan University to ask the students and staff what they thought about all these drastic changes in the architectural landscape of the city. At the university, we met with Nordic Center's program officer Murphy Chen. Despite Shanghai not being her birthplace, she has lived most of her life there, and as a result, she has felt the impact of the urbanization.
I think 2 years ago I went to Australia for a month, and after I came back I felt like everything changed because Shanghai is just one of the most dynamic cities in the world, and everything is going on, and then every day it has events, and then everything is moving, changing, and like going. So I think it definitely changed a lot compared with maybe just 1 year ago and 2 years ago. And whereas in the east side of the river, you often didn't recognize it's Shanghai. Maybe if you don't know it's Shanghai, you will say, oh, maybe it's New York or maybe it's Paris, because it doesn't have any trait of Shanghai, and it's all the same as modern architectures, skyscrapers, and very cold feelings,
Her comments on the city's rapid development stand as a clear indicator of the recent economic growth of the country. These changes have been too fast-paced and without the required regulation and control, which means that a substantial gap has been growing between the citizens. But how are these changes manifested on a larger scale when discussing the growth of the biggest city on Earth, population-wise?
Yeah, I do think that architecture in a way shows people, it gives you a feeling of where you belong. And for some people, modern architecture like the skyscrapers, it's just not something they identify themselves with, and they don't think that they belong to those. So, but I do think that maybe people in the countryside, they don't want something like this.
Through our interviews with the citizens of Shanghai, we can determine that there certainly exists a gap between the social classes between the rural and urban population of China, as well as a growing gap within the cities themselves. This leads us to the following questions. How will China's growth be affected by this gap? And what can the central government do to stagnate this overwhelming increase in inequality?